everybody, Paul Caldwell here. I'm doing this in from the foothills in Bolivia, Cochabamba, Bolivia, where we have an event. Yesterday we did a leadership conference, and around 100 of the leaders showed up. I believe those were the people from and the platinum elite and the sapphires and so forth. In any case, 400 today over at the convention center, and I'll be over there at in a little while to close that event out. But I just wanted to do this. They asked me to do the talk on success today, coming off of the terrific event in Orlando this past weekend, and to go over some of the specific things related to Organo and related to your success with Organo. But one thing I want to bring up about that word success, I think it's also like that word leadership. I think it's dramatically overused as a word. You always hear, I recruited a leader, or I have a leader, or there's a leader here, or a leader there. Almost like it's, a verb. And it should be a verb, an action word. Someone that is a leader should exhibit leadership, and they should have the first thing they should do is have control of themselves and their own leadership, and how they lead by example. So if they lead by example, then they're probably going to be a better leader than someone that just leads by talking and telling people what to do, because people will always do what they see and they experience you do. If you're having success, it's more difficult to get people or to even expect people to do what you say if you're not doing what you say yourself. So in other words, it's not an intellectual exercise. Leadership has a feeling to it. Leadership has a component to it that's kinesthetic, and you have to feel leadership a little bit. And you'll know when you feel leadership, because you'll know you have done well for someone. You'll have known you help lead them into a better place. But more importantly, it's probably going to be more of a collaborative thing than it is a you lead them, they follow you. And in this particular profession, when you're trying to inspire people, when in our ecosystem at Organo, is all we're doing is creating an environment that people want to be a part of. We want people to become our customers. We want people to purchase our products, and we want them to purchase our products because they want to purchase our products. We want the person that went out to a department store somewhere, anywhere in the world yesterday, and purchased their skincare products. That's our market. We want those people to begin to use our BU brand. And we want to make sure that they do that, in mass, because we create an environment that people want to be a part of, and therefore they want to talk about. And the word of mouth is very, very strong, because I believe everyone on here probably already knows one way or another, and if you don't, you should know this, that it really doesn't matter what we say about our products and our services anymore. Tell the world. We can't just advertise and promote and push out content to people. It's really about what people say to each other about our products and our services, and more importantly, the experiences they have with our products and services, the experiences they have with our ecosystem, the experiences they have with you or me individually, or us as an ecosystem collectively. And so it's really important to make sure that when you think about this this thing, success, this word success, or the word leadership, that you don't just make it like a passe word, a convenient word. Make it matter. Make that word a verb. Make it an action word. Moving the camera around here for just a second so I can get a little bit more comfortable. I'm doing this from my iPhone, by the way. This hotel's Wi-Fi is not so good here in Cochabamba, so I'm using the LTE to dial in here. Anyway, the point I want to make is that success is relative. Everything is relative. There's a business relativity scale that in businesses where you're comparing and contrasting maybe your brand value or your market value as a company, it's relative to some things. And it's always relative to the environment that you're in as well. So what I want you to know about that word success is it's relative. And sometimes in the PMA space, positive mental attitude space, which is a whole business in and of itself, sometimes in the personal development space, it's always about moving your expectations higher. In other words, someone will tell you to redefine success. Rewrite your definition of success. And it's always up. It's always up, 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 up. Bigger definition of success. Want more stuff, need more money, dot, 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 dot. But the reality is, I think you gotta, if you just think about that a little bit differently. Because I think it's all that does for people, at least in my experience. Now, I mean, you may have a very different experience than me, and I'm not saying reaching up or goaling up or redefining your definition of success up is a wrong thing. I'm not saying that in any way. But I want you to rethink it a little bit because I think there's something else to be said about it. There's another thought that you might find interesting. And that is that whenever you do that, you're always trying to become successful. What I'd like you to do is stop for just a second and think about this. Based on my life experience, and I've chased success. I have chased the rabbits down rabbit holes, got to the end and found a fire-breathing dragon that burned me up and ate my lunch. I know what that is. What I have found that if just every day you be successful instead of trying to become successful all the time, those little incremental gains of being successful every day add up. And they add up to what most people define as big success. But it doesn't just happen to big success. So I want you to focus on the little successes, the little things that you can have and that you can succeed at every single day. Like engaging in a consistent pattern of revenue producing activities every single day for your business. Maybe that means that you acquire 3 customers a day, or you acquire potential to have 3 customers, new customers a day by talking with 3 people a day and letting them know about Organo and spreading the word and helping the ecosystem grow a little bit that way. Maybe it's about something in your personal life that you do on a daily basis, so your fitness or your wellness, or maybe you're just adjusting your diet so you knock out sugar or something. All those little successes every single day are what add up, so it's additive. But what ends up happening there is because it's life and it's not static, you can get the advantage of a multiplier effect. And then instead of it being linear growth, it can become exponential growth. And in this particular profession where you have an opportunity as a licensed agent to create consumption of Organo's products and services by being a part of our ecosystem, what ends up happening is you have the ability to spread the word in several different ways. So you could try to, build your own plan for your own success. Now, I know in the leadership forums, I know in the academy, there are a lot of great tips and a lot of great methods and trainings in there to help you do that. So I would highly suggest that you engage in those things. But instead of just always thinking about what you can do to redefine success higher and higher and higher for yourself, think about what you can do to redefine success down to the little things that you can do every single day to make a difference. Things that you can do every single day to get closer to a goal, which then helps you get closer to a dream. So those daily milestones are really, really important. And that's really what I have to say about success as far as tidbits are concerned. That would be my tidbit. Think about the little things because they all matter. Big time important. Next thing is they asked me to talk about the event in Orlando and some of the newness of Organo. And you hear me talk a lot if you've heard any of the calls that we've done. Maybe you're in senior level management in the company and you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But when I say ecosystem, what I'm talking about is an environment with numerous interdependent parts that all work together in harmony to achieve some great things. And that's what the Organo ecosystem is all about. When I say ecosystem, I'm talking about everyone that we are in business with. I'm talking about our distribution partners. Most of the people watching this, as I understand it, will be distribution partners. It's about our employee partners. It's about our supply partners. You notice I didn't say vendors because we don't think of our suppliers as just vendors anymore. We think of them as supply partners. You notice I didn't say distributors because we think of our distribution partners inside this ecosystem as partners that are helping us move products and services of Organo's brand into the marketplace to create market and brand value. So I need you to understand that when I say ecosystem, I'm talking about all of it. And then we talk about, you may have seen in a press release or two that are out there in the broader markets, you see where things say Organo, and it mentions our vertical markets ecosystem model. What this is a platform. This is a platform. And when our firm acquired Organo last year, the main reason was we wanted a platform investment with a company that uses a direct selling as a method. Model means a way to move products and services to market. We think it's a misnomer to call the company a network marketing company or a direct selling company. Organo is none of that. Organo is itself in and of itself as a brand. Organo is a product and services development and distribution company. That's what we do. We develop products and services, innovate those products and service with those products and services to deliver those to a marketplace. Now, the key aspect of our business model is disruption. It's not about the same old thing. You see, innovation for innovation's sake is passé. It's dead. It's not good. It's not going to do anyone any good just for itself. And there are a lot of companies that use direct selling as a model for distribution that are great companies. Terrific products have been invented inside the space, and there's been a tremendous amount of innovation. However, there's been very little, almost zero, disruption in the space in a positive way in a couple of decades at least. So this space, the direct selling space, is ripe for disruption, but not because we stay the same. It's because we have to become different to disrupt. And then disruption in and of itself is not enough. So you have to innovate for the purpose of disruption and then disrupt in a positive way to raise the bar higher so other companies have to come up to that standard. And that's really, really important. But it's not in and of itself enough because, again, you can't just do it as a means to that end. There has to be a bigger purpose. Our bigger purpose is ultimately transformation. This is a transformational exercise. Organo is a transformational company. We are going to transform the world and the way the world interacts with a direct selling process. It's going to become more of a direct consumption process because the important aspect of the whole thing is this space needs to be disrupted to transform into its next better version of itself. Well, something has to cause that. It doesn't just happen through osmosis. And you can't just wait for time to evolve into that. That's not even a good word in business. You have to be, instead of evolutionary and letting just time take its course and evolve the company into its next season of growth or whatever, if you're not being revolutionary and disruptive today in business, and you're not moving fast, and your speed of execution and your models based on the strategies you have inside your platform aren't based on speed of execution, speed to market, leapfrog growth instead of incrementalism, and really have the execution model defined. If that's not all what you're about as a business these days, then you're already way, way, way far behind the power curve. And so what we have to do and what we are doing at Organo is we are taking that platform that we acquired last year, we're rebranding, we're restructuring, and our first 18 months is just all about stabilization. There's a lot to fix. There are a lot of things that we believe needed to be upgraded, not just products and processes and these kinds of things, but in fact the actual philosophy behind the business and what's going to go, how it's going to go forward and what's going to matter as we go forward inside the culture and inside this ecosystem. So we created a vertical markets ecosystem model. And what vertical markets means, and I know many of you watching this are not business people and you probably don't understand this, and for those of you that are, I'm not talking about vertical integration either. What I'm talking about, I am talking about cross-pollination across vertical markets inside the ecosystem, but I am not talking about a traditional vertically integrated model, company to company supply chain kind of thing. What I am talking about is vertical markets inside an ecosystem, existing inside this ecosystem. So think of this ecosystem as this broader thing, this big thing, and then inside of it you have these vertical markets. So a vertical market, well, when last year Organo was in the beverage business. It was a beverage market, mainly brewed beverages, coffees, teas, those kinds of things. Some cold beverages, hot, and some other things that weren't coffees and teas in the brewed beverage space in the way of hot beverages like hot chocolate and whatever. And then Organo had some nutritional products. So Organo was also in the nutritional space. Well, these verticals are industries, beverages, industry, nutritionals, industry. And then what we added immediately for an acquisition that we did last year was we merged a company, I should say, into Organo and created the new brand BU that's been getting great acceptance around the world because of the way we deliver BU to the market. We don't simply at Organo ever again create a product or develop a service and hand it off to our distribution partners and say, okay, now here it is, go sell it. Here's how you sell it. Here are the features and functionality. Here are the features and benefits, la, 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 and now go sell it. Never again will we do that. Not at Organo. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen at Organo is we are going to, as a company, partner with our distribution partners and the marketplace. So we are going to go out into the marketplace like we do with our Beauty Bar Showcase program for the BU brand, and we're going to go out into the market as a company. We're going to create brand and market value, and then like a wave, we're going to then go out of the market and then draw that value back through our distribution partners, through the distribution network. That's where money's going to stick, and then the rest is going to come up to the company. It's a completely different paradigm. It's a shift that way, but ultimately what it means is we are creating net tangible asset value inside the Organo enterprise where the company actually has value, where the company actually creates brand and market value that's appreciated. You see, most direct selling companies, I think I could say this for almost the entire 192 or almost 193, I guess, in 2018, $1 billion of products that were consumed by people from direct selling related companies. Now that seems like a big number, but it's minuscule, itty-bitty number in the broader scheme of global markets, of actual global consumerism, which is in the trillions and trillions of dollars. $192 billion, $193 billion, that's all that was sold by direct selling companies in 2018. When the retail market sector just in and of itself, folks, had $190 billion of growth, just growth in 2018, which if you look at that on a relative basis, it means that the amount of products that are sold through direct selling into the broader markets is very small. And so our belief is that that's because the direct selling space is like a pond. It's like a little pond, and it's small. It's a $193 billion pond. But what happens is money and people move around on the pond on the lily pads that sit on the top of the water. So imagine a pond with lily pads on the water. Some are different sizes. The biggest lily pad in the pond, at $8.8 billion, I believe it was last year in sales. But I think the brand value of that company would be much less than $8.8 billion. I don't think anywhere near its revenue. The point is that all these lily pads that are on the pond sit there and coexist inside the pond. And if you think of companies as those lily pads, what ends up happening inside that environment is people move between lily pad. They jump from lily pad to lily pad. Money moves from lily pad to lily pad. Customer purchases move from lily pad to lily pad because those customers are typically tied to a distributor or a representative of the company. And when person, distributor, representative moves to another lily pad, the consumer sometimes goes along, unless they have great products and great services that they want anyway, which is a good thing. Now, what we decided to do is not even be in the pond anymore. The pond is not a place that we believe we can create the type of enterprise that actually has its net tangible asset value proposition properly articulated into the broader markets, into the global markets, where it could command and demand respect from those markets, from Wall Street, and from the professionals around the world in the finance sector, the audit sector, legal sector, governments, because we really want to be an economic development engine in markets around the world as well. Communities, this model lends itself to that. It's just that over years, the direct selling space has created its own sickness in many ways. There are a lot of great things about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not at all knocking the direct selling. What I am saying is that it needs to be disrupted in order to be transformed into its next better version of itself. And that needs to include broader markets. No direct selling company that I'm aware of has broad market acceptance, broad market appeal, or broad market brand value, and that just doesn't exist. In other words, consumers in the broader markets around the world do not respect the brands that are sold through the direct selling space. That's it, period. I don't see anybody that, or any way anyone could dispute that if you just look at the numbers and let the reality show up. Now, you could have a conversation, and it could just be a self-licking ice cream cone kind of thing that, like in the space of direct selling, where a lot of times it just licks itself and says, oh, it tastes good, I taste good, and everybody tells themselves how good it tastes. All of that happens in the pond. We've taken Organo's Lilypad and we've planted it in the ocean, which is in the broader markets. And that's why you see us doing things like the Beauty Bar Showcase. That's why you see the company in the market, supporting our distribution partners in those markets so they can acquire new customers, 30, 40, 50 new customers in 3 days, because the company's there with them building market and brand value. And that's why we have the pop-up model. That's why we've engaged the gig economy in unique and interesting ways that many of you are aware of. That's beyond the scope of this conversation, but our gig economy model with our shared economy distributed application technologies that we worked 8 months on since September of last year are showing up big time in the markets. And as we release those more deeper and broadly in that depth, you're going to see some great things happen around that, and that's how we're going to bring Organo into that gig economy, instead of, like most direct selling companies, will suffer from the gig economy. They will suffer from it. If you want to know how, just send me a WhatsApp or a message, and I'll send you a little paper that I wrote on that sometime last year, probably towards the beginning of the summer last year. The point I want to make to you today is that we have a lot of newness at Organo. The Organo brand in and of itself has a potential for significant brand value globally. We are creating a company with enterprise value, real enterprise value. You know, most direct selling companies don't have much real enterprise value. When you ask them, where's the value in your company? When you assess them, where's the value in your business? They will say, in the network. But is that really enterprise value? I don't think that's enterprise value, because the people that make up the network can decide to leave next Tuesday because they're independent agents and go do something else. That would be like if you had a traditional manufacturing company and your assets were your machines, but they were robots and they had legs, and all of a sudden your bottling machine could decide one day, because it was an autonomous robot, it became really smart, and it learned over time, and it popped its legs up and walked out the door because it just decided to. Would that be the same type of asset? Would a bank lend against that asset if they could just walk out the door? See, it doesn't really create enterprise value. So it's difficult to assess, evaluate, and value a company that uses a direct selling model for its distribution, because most of the time they don't create any net tangible asset value. So we created our OG Pay platform in a way that we have some ownership on the intellectual property side, so that we create our own service, our own system. And if you look at that, that's in the financial services space, payments, global payment space. That's an entire vertical. That's an entire industry. So when I say vertical markets, Organo is in the beverage business, and the beverage industry, in the cosmetics and beauty industry, through starting off with skincare. We'll move into other things inside that vertical. In the nutritional vertical, in the global payments vertical, and now with Travala, which we've worked on for many months, into the travel-related products and services space through Travala, which is not a travel service. It's a software as a service solution that provides people access through the Travala platform to the very best travel-related programs and travel-related booking systems available, so that the people, the customers there, can actually get true discounted travel, access to more broad inventory than they can find just about anywhere else in the world. And certainly if you combine the Getaway portal and the Forever Weeks portal, I don't know of any inventory that comes close as far as how much is available globally and the kinds of experiences that you can have. And then the ability that we have through our technology to curate content on that platform inside that vertical to create unique experiences like duet vacations. That's what we're calling those. Duet vacations, where it combines a cruise and a land component to it. How about our Layaway Paradise program, where you can lay away your vacation, start paying on it now like you used to do at old JCPenney or Sears and Roebuck when I was a kid. My parents did that. Lay away your vacation, pay for it over 12 or 18 months, 15 months, whatever it takes. Once your vacation's paid for, the price is honored that you got in at, and boom, you go on vacation, and you just paid for it over time. Almost like something like someone called it once in a meeting that I was in, a vacation savings account. I really never heard of that. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. But that's what they said. It sounded like a good name to me, but that's what it really is. It's kind of like paying for your vacation incrementally over time, and then going and enjoying your vacation. So in any case, just understand that when we say vertical markets ecosystem model, that's what we mean. Going into billion-dollar industries and bringing those into Organo, into our Organo ecosystem, because they really are industries, and then cross-pollinating value between those industries. That's why when you hear us talk about the points inside Travala, the travel points. Well, what if you could buy a box of coffee Organo coffee, and you paid a certain amount of money for it, and then whatever you paid created points up in the travel system. What if you engaged with OG Pay and the payment platform, and you used the Visa card, and every time you did, you could get travel points? And then what if you could use those travel points to do unique and interesting things that weren't just related to travel services, but might have been related to travel products, which is why we call Travala a travel-related products and services platform. And that's why we let everybody know it's a SaaS platform, software as a service. And what someone is buying when they buy into Travala as a customer, they're buying a right-to-use license to that platform to gain access to these unique things that we put together as a company. So we will cross-pollinate value across those verticals, but we will not cannibalize sales. These are monies people are already spending out there. If you think about, let's go back to the BU, since I was on the BU with the beauty bar showcases. That's the skincare line. Think about that. Somebody went out yesterday somewhere in the world, and they went to a department store and they purchased skincare. They didn't purchase it from a direct selling company. So what that means is those direct selling companies are not our competition. These direct selling companies just that happen to have skincare products that are over here in the pond aren't over here in the ocean where we are, which is in the broader markets. We don't compete with them. We don't want to compete with them. We don't want to be in competition with them. We don't want their customers. We don't want to recruit their distributors into our distribution network necessarily. If they want to come, they're welcome. Our door's open. We're open for business. But that's not our shtick. That's not our thing at all. Because the reality is God didn't make many freshwater fish that can even swim in the ocean. You know what I mean? So it's not that important. And there's great stuff that goes on in the pond, but the pond is relatively calm. Every now and again, an alligator will jump up and pull a frog off a lily pad or whatever, but it's relatively calm, and then the waters go calm and it stays that way, and they like it like that. They like it like that. They don't like disruption. No waves, because waves in the pond usually means it's not good for them. They don't like waves. So they're not adept at getting out into broader markets and competing, because inside that little pond, things can just move around. But I don't believe any real new market value gets created there. I don't believe that that whole environment really creates, other than some opportunity, which is a good thing. I don't think it really creates anything disruptive enough ever, even through their innovation, to actually move to that next level of transformation. And that's our goal, and that's what we're doing. And I'm happy that you're on here, because it means you're either taking that ride with us, you're on the Organo bus, or it means that you might be evaluating getting onto the Organo bus. And if that's the case, I invite you to take a good, hard, deep dive look. They also asked me to talk about IBM and our relationship with them on the Organo Products Trust. You know, IBM has an open ledger on the blockchain called Hyperledger, and we're using that Hyperledger, and we've built something called Organo Products Trust. And I released that, showed that at the Orlando event up on the screen. And it's an amazing platform. It creates trust. In other words, everything with the Organo brand on it or around it needs to evoke trust. People need to know that they can trust what they're doing with our company. They need to know they can trust that what we say is in our products is in our products. They need to know that when we say whatever's behind our inventory, maybe in our travel service or whatever, is actually there. And so we need to be completely transparent across the board, and with our products, and certainly our consumable products from farm to table, to consumer. This allows us to do that, but we've also built on top of that some unique monetization engine aspects to it, so that there's a monetization layer that optimizes the supply chain in unique and interesting ways. It's never been done before, but it's working out interestingly, very interesting. Started out as an experiment. Let's see, I mean, this is an interesting concept. Let's see if that can work for us. And now that's turning into something that will definitely contribute to this transformational disruption that we're engaged in at the moment. It's a real serious thing, and it's turning out well. It's also creating all kinds of IP, intellectual property value for Organo, and because we're owning in on components of our technology layer, we're actually creating technology-related intellectual property, and we're able to go out and we're able to file for patents, and at this point, provisionally so in most cases, but some others through acquisition where we actually own the patent portfolio. In any case, I just want you to know we're creating enterprise value for this, for Organo, and this vertical markets ecosystem model is alive and well. I'm here in Cochabamba, Bolivia, right now, and these are some amazing people. They're entrepreneurial spirited. They want the same thing anybody else wants for their kids. They love their children. I mean, and they're just economically, I think the average income here is $300 a month in this country. But we have people here far exceeding that because of Organo, because Organo in this country is a true economic development opportunity. And that's a good thing. But we want to be that everywhere. Developed economies, developing economies, doesn't matter to me. I want us to help develop economies all over the world. I want to develop individual personal economies, because the reality is each of us has our own economy, our own personal economy, and our personal economy on an aggregate basis is an economy in our community, and then our city, our state, our country. It all contributes to the overall economy of a country, and all of that contributes to the global economy. And so I want Organo to be this economic development engine, this engine for growth, personal economy, communities. Like, look what we're doing with our Bags for Life program. That's certainly doing that in communities. And some of the things we're doing in that payment space that I mentioned earlier around micro lending in the communities that we serve, and things like that are showing out to be really well accepted. Right now, that's more of a concept than a reality. We don't have all the framework built around that micro lending thing yet, but we've been talking to the communities in which we serve in other countries and in lower income areas inside the United States and throughout North America. That's being very well received as a concept right now. We don't have the execution model built for that yet, and we don't really have a framework built around it even. So it's more ideation, but the feedback that we're getting is very good. So we're very likely to execute on that and put that into that payments vertical. That's more like fintech inside there, married to global payments. Anyway, I just want you to understand from all of these, from all that I've said, that the thing that matters most is you understand that your success is really determined by more than one factor. In other words, you have to show up, but also the ecosystem, the company has to show up. So we have to do this together. This has to be a partnership. And we have to show up big, and you have to show up big, commensurate with what your goals, your objectives for your life, and your purpose for being a part of the Organo ecosystem are. With me, I need to go right now because I've got to get over and close this event out at this convention center here in Cochabamba, Bolivia. And then for those of you watching in Europe, I'm on my way there now. So I'll be in Europe until the middle part of September in our markets over there. So thanks a bunch for everything, folks. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you again real soon. And let me turn this thing off here, and I will exit and let you guys finish with your success call. Bye-bye.